So there we have the Foxhunters Slip Jig played slow. I chose that because of the third section being the first section up the octave. And here are the stats. I don't know where that D3 comes from. There's obviously some undertone or something somewhere around because it seems to crop up regularly in these recordings. It doesn't exist on the flute, obviously. So a bit more green, I think, than we had on the pre-waxing demos that I did the stats on like this with TTtuner. So here we are with the B, A and G holes waxed down. And this is what the stats are coming out like from that little performance. Obviously the D4 is still flat because I can't do anything about that, although with the tuning slide pushed in a little further than it was, the foot may not be quite as flat as it was. It's still pretty flat. So E is slightly sharp vented with the E flat key, but we live with that. I don't know where these F4s and B flat 4s are coming from. These ones with very small sampling numbers. They must just be sounds I'm making in passing or something, because I'm not playing those specific notes. So if they've got a very low hit score, ignore them. They're not real notes. But the ones with high hits are the real notes. So as you can see there, the A4 and B4 are much better than they were. Well, and the G4 is pretty much spot on. And we go over the break into the second octave. The E is sharp, even unvented. The problem with the E hole is it's so small. I'm very reluctant to wax it down at all, although we could experiment with that. The F sharp is a little sharp there, and so are the A5 and B5. I probably just wasn't being careful enough with my lip there. As usual with these, when I record them, I'm not watching the tuner consistently, so I'm deliberately not tuning in by eye to the tuner, although I do check it occasionally just to make sure I haven't gone completely AWOL. But obviously I do some compensation by ear. Clearly my embouchure wasn't great for the upper A and B there. So the next one is the Tax Return Waltz, played at a normal sort of speed, partly because it's got quite a few slurred octaves in it. So you can see in that one, I was taking a bit more care with my middle register embouchure, and the A and B5 were much better in tune. I think it was just playing more carefully altogether in that one. Again, this has generated some D3s, which obviously don't exist. The C sharp 4, as we know, is drastically flat, and the low D is still flat, although with being able to push the tuning slide in slightly, it's not quite as bad. But going through the middle of the fundamental register, you can see all of those notes up to D5 have got a green light. And if I scroll up to get the higher notes, E5 still slightly sharp. It's always going to be. I could wax it, but it's such a small hole already, I'm disinclined to. The F sharps in both registers, I am playing with the fully vented fingering, so that's venting the E flat key and an F key. It would be flat if you didn't. But yeah, the A and higher A and B, A5, B5, again, they're not bad. You just have to be careful with your lip. One more to go. Scales this time. Again, I'm not watching the tuner whilst I'm playing. I kind of check back in occasionally to check that I wasn't going massively off as I went up. So there are a couple of notes where I correct myself, but most of them I'm not looking at the tuner. And they're coming out as they're coming out. I'm not correcting them. So that's through the scale and some octaves. Fairly good, I think. So looking at the stats, again, those low notes on the foot joint are all flat and get flatter as they come up to the C sharp. The D's not so bad. And then from F up to the octave break, we're pretty decently ballpark. And certainly the G and A and B have got green lights now. The two keyed notes, G sharp is a little sharp and B flat is a little flat. But I think we just have to live with those. And then going into the second octave, yeah, fairly much what you'd expect. You need to be careful in the left hand of the second octave, which tends to go sharp anyway. If I wax them anymore to fetch those down, then or the G and the A, then they'll be too flat in the bottom octave. So that's something that has to be lipped. Interestingly, the B is slightly flat, whereas it's sharp in the bottom octave. Again, I can't do anything more about that. And up into the third octave, it's basically using standard fingerings, which I'll do a fingering chart of. They're not too bad at all the way up to the top. I'm struggling a little bit to get top C, and I think that was my embouchure more than anything. So there we go.